private. I'm going to flip it to public once we get there, and yeah.
Cool. I'm going to make a little reply to your thing on Discord saying that I will also be there.
All right, we are set up with a description, and
All right, all right.
I am going to I am going to make it public.
All right. All right. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
And momentarily, I'm going to switch us over, so it should be the live scene. All right. Anything you want to do before we go live?
I got to sneeze. But, no, yeah, I think I'm good.
All right. Then let's go live. Hello, Internet. Welcome to the Crucible of Aether character creation live stream. I am Mike, one of the writers and game designers for Crucible of Aether, a upcoming tabletop RPG we've been working on. I'm joined by Heather Flowers, a friend of the team, playtester, and fantastic game developer in their own right. Heather, go ahead and say hello.
Hello. Yeah, as previously mentioned, I'm a huge fan of Crucible of Aether. The character creation process is one of my favorite parts of it, and I'm very excited to see what we make today.
Awesome, awesome. Heather, thank you for joining us. Now, Crucible of Aether is a simulationist game that emphasizes player choice and character growth through those choices. You improve at the skills you use, and you gain access to new abilities, which we call careers, through choices you make during the game. Steal things, and you gain access to the thief career. Join a faction of mercenaries, and you become an Ashen reservist with access to abilities tied to that organization. And these character growth choices start during character creation, which is what we're going to do today. And the choices you make about your character shape who they are at the start of playing the game. Now, we've been working on this for a long time, and we're super pumped to share a preview of character creation with you. You can access everything you're going to see in the stream today on our Discord server. The link is in the description of the video. And also, please go ahead and check out the Kickstarter for the game. Currently, the pre-launch page is live. We're looking for anybody who might be interested to go ahead and give it a follow. And here's what you can expect out of this stream today. We're going to first give you an overview of character creation for the game. Then we are going to make one using some suggestions, maybe a little bit of randomization, and kind of find the story of this character over the course of making them. And then at the end, we're going to wrap up, talk about some of the character creation choices that we've made and what we think about them, what kind of story that character is telling through the choices that we've made. And then finally, we're going to upload the character sheet for this finished character to our Discord server, and you can play them if you want. We're also going to bring this character to PAX Unplugged next month. We're going to have a booth at PAX 4353, and anybody who comes by the table can play them in a couple of demos that we have, and they're going to grow. This character is going to grow over the course of the convention based off of choices that all of the attendees at the convention make. Now let's get started with how you make a character in Crucible of Aether.
Before we continue, we're getting some comments that we are very quiet and that there's some echoing on my audio.
All right, I am going to try and fix that momentarily.
All right. While Mike fixes that, I'm going to say that you can check out the Crucible of Aether Kickstarter at this link, which I'm posting in the YouTube chat. And yeah, definitely, like, it's coming soon. Definitely follow it. It is an extremely cool game.
Okay, I've changed some things. Hopefully that fixes the audio doubling, and hopefully it also fixes the quietness problem. Let's see if we can get this going.
All right.
Awesome. So first off, what we're going to do is talk about the character creation steps. So there are 6 big choices in making a Crucible of Aether character. I know this is a lot at first, but we're breaking these out so that everybody can see them and understand what's going on. It's some very natural things that just sort of you would think of when you're creating a character in any sort of game. They're just represented mechanically here. First off, you choose a fantastical origin. This influences some of your options down the road. There are 4 fantastical origins in the game. Nobody here is a human being. We have the Assylians, which are sort of rodent-like people. There's actually an illustration of an Assylian on the page right now. You can see on the bottom right the person wearing the rags closely around their shoulders. They've got sort of rodent-like feet. They've got some rodent-like features, things like that. We have the Keanosins. They are canine. Think wolves, jackals, the tanuki of Japan. Then also we have the insect-like Osirtians. They have extra pupils in their eyes. They have very smooth, segmented skin. They have antennae, no hair or fur or anything like that. You can actually see one of the Osirtians on the bottom left of the overlay page right now. Last but not least, we have the Valthurians, sort of avian-like people. Think eagles, cardinals, blue jays, those sorts of birds. They have talons instead of feet. They have feathers on their face and arms, things like that. Then we choose a home nation. That's going to be anywhere across the various nations of the Empire of Odayos. This is a world in the midst of a industrial revolution that is built not on the steam engine, but on the utilization of an ancient technology from a long lost civilization that nobody quite understands, but the cogs are still turning, the gears are still running, and they can hook up their own factories to that.
So I am getting reports that we are still very quiet.
Okay, I am going to boost some things again and see if I can't fix that. All right. Hopefully this is a little bit better. I'm going to speak up a little bit, and hopefully that will solve our audio problems. So there are 8 nations that are available right now in the beta packet that is available on our Discord server. They vary from the heavily industrialized New Gridaria. Think a Dickensian nightmare where they viewed Oliver Twist as an instruction manual rather than a societal warning. To yeah, there is the jungles of Misharuk, which is, imagine if a university where the tenured professors were in charge of everything and they never died. They are a nation that is ruled by a caste of undead priests who get to just spend their eternal life researching whatever they want, and nobody wants to mess with them because they're also magic. By the way, in the full game, you can become one of these magical undead priests. There is the sort of neoclassical country of Nume Va that is trying to hold on to the old glory of the old world before the Industrial Revolution, and their twin nation sister of Tigalosa, which is sort of what if everybody decided who was in charge based off of who could do the biggest deadlift, which has its upsides and its downsides. Much the same as any way of selecting who's in charge of the government. At least it's not somebody handing out swords in a lake. And then after you've chosen your fantastical origin and your home nation, you assign your attribute scores. Now, there are 8 in the game. There are 4 physical ones and 4 mental ones. Most people are going to be familiar with most of these. There's a little bit of nuances in our game, but the 4 physical ones are strength, endurance, dexterity, and speed. The 4 mental ones are intelligence, wisdom, charisma, and spirit. And people kind of ask about the nuances of some of these. I like to say the difference between dexterity and speed is somebody who has high dexterity is going to be able to juggle. Somebody who has high speed would be able to be quick off the starting block in a sprint. And the difference between some of the mental stats, spirit is the one that kind of might throw people a little bit. We like to think of spirit as force of personality, conviction, inability to be persuaded from the things you believe, for better or for worse. Fifth is choosing your background. So not just where you were born, the country that you were born, but how you grew up. You could be born an orphan on the streets in New Gridaria, scraping by every day, or you could have been born in rarefied high society to a family that owns the factories that the orphans work in. And then last is the starting career. I mentioned these earlier. They are the ability trees that define character advancement throughout much of the game. Characters get one to start with, no matter what, and then they unlock more through play. Now that we have given quick overview to everything, these are going to come up a little bit as we go through and make this character, but I wanted to give everybody a quick rundown of what to expect.
So you mentioned that Osirtians can be different types of bug. Could I play as a butterfly?
There is not any mechanical difference between different strands of Osirtians at the moment. You could 100% play as a butterfly, and there just would not be a mechanical difference. So we would not in any way be stopping you from playing as a butterfly.
Nice.
Yeah. So that is the start of what we're going to do here. And then pulling up, if this will cooperate. Hey, here I am. And then we are looking at the character creation steps enacted here. So what you're seeing on the left-hand side of the screen is our character sheet. I know it's a lot to look at first, but this is an autofill PDF, so this is going to fill out very quickly as we start doing everything. On the right here is our character creation packet. Now this is a packet that is currently on our Discord, and you can go and check it out today if you would like. Again, link is in the description of the live stream here. This has all that you would need to create a character in Crucible of Aether. Right now, there are some limitations. We don't have all of the backgrounds or all of the careers that are in the game, or for that matter, all of the home nations. There are 14 home nations in the full game right now. There are currently 8 in this playtest. There are more than 40 backgrounds in the full game. There are more than 60 careers in the full game, and we've got about half of each in the playtest packet. And then let me fix something real quick. Oop, I think I lost it. Okay. So what we are going to start with here is that's the all of the steps of creating a character, but we're going to start with first is the origin of our character. And Heather, this is where I want you to come in. And you mentioned butterfly. Do you feel that the Osirtians are calling to you tonight?
Well, the thing about being a butterfly is that it's not just about what kind of antenna you have. It's about the attitude that you give out to the world. We can play as a social butterfly with, say, a beautiful voice. I know that's a trait that's possible for us to have. This is just one of the options that's available to us today.
Okay. There's also the Ascelians, as I mentioned, the rodent-like people. They've got access to some interesting things, not only things that lean more into their rodent-like heritage, like called to the earth. They've got a little bit of an advantage of digging into things. They actually get a burrow speed if they choose that trait. And then there is also things like having more sensitive hearing. And then also some special trait options that tie into their mysterious origins tied to the ancient civilization in the world. And I also realize, I believe that I just missed a step in character creation, which is the trait options in the game that are further options to customize your character. There are a number of them that we have that are just the default traits that are available to everyone. Being strong, being cynical, being especially pious, being especially fast. There are also special options that you unlock based off of your other decisions. So, for instance, we mentioned things like beautiful voice or sensitive hearing. There are options that you unlock based off of your fantastical origin that you choose. So, for instance, Assyrians can have more sensitive hearing than anyone else, tied to the fact that they've got their rodent-like heritage. Osirtians can be can have pheromone-based senses. They can have compound eyes that allow them to see fantastical visions. Valthurians can have especially sharp and dangerous claws. And the traits are a little bit special because almost all of them have a little bit of a drawback to them that sort of helps your character lean into a certain direction of play. I mentioned the especially sharp talons of the Valthurians. Well, you also get a little bit of a debuff to trying to sneak around because your really sharp talons tend to stick in things. Just sort of flavor and interesting debuffs in exchange for some powerful bonuses that you get from these traits. We talked a little bit already about Osirtians. Also wanted to talk about Keanosins, the sort of canine-like folk of the world. Have a long history going back centuries and centuries. They founded the countries and founded the sort of old world order that used to be on top before the invention of the firearm and a lot of social upheaval, including the Industrial Revolution, that has them on the back foot at the moment. Also wanted to talk a little bit more about the Valthurians. They are the ones that control the levers of power of the world at the moment, or at the very least, the people in power among the Valthurians control the levers of power at the moment. The Empress of the Empire of Odayos is a Valthurian woman. She is basically in charge, at least nominally, of the rest of the known and settled world here. Heather, before I randomize which of these four we might be creating a character with tonight, do you have any final thoughts, any direction you want to go?
The main thing that I'm thinking about is the fact that I believe the last character creation stream we also made an Osirtian. So I figure the two options are to go somewhere completely different or to see how different two Osirtians can be from one another.
I do like that. Why don't we go with another Osirtian here, just to give people an idea? The last character creation stream we created a character known as Orpheus Lutsos, who was a strong man, believed that he would become so strong that he would save his god from an eternal abyss where every single soul is piled on top of them, and he would become so strong that he would lift all of those souls up and free his god Usra from their eternal torment. So let's make a character who is Osirtian, but maybe goes in a different direction from that. So I am going to make an Osirtian. I am going to first pop Osirtian into the origin page here, or the origin, sorry, if I can spell, pop that into the origin box. And then also every origin gets a small bonus tied to their fantastical origin. The Osirtians get extra mental and physical condition. I'm just going to note that down now so that we can make sure that we keep track of that and don't forget it later on. So there we go. We've chosen our origin. And the various ancestries that we lay out here, you can see the fantastic art that was done by our artist Emily. We've got tons more of her art to show, and we're hoping to commission more art from her and others in the Kickstarter. These ancestries that we've got here are meant to represent, political, cultural traditions in the world, people that might have founded a particular nation or nations within the world, and sort of guide players in terms of what characters might look like in the world. Next up is a home nation choice. Now, you can see a draft of the map here on the page that I've pulled up. There are 8, as I mentioned, countries in the playtest. The one that we created last was an Osirtian from Taigalosa, which is, as I mentioned, sort of one of the neoclassical, sort of trying to keep on to the glories of the old world sort of deals. So maybe we go in a different direction. Yeah, Heather, what do you think? Where do you want to go here?
So I keep thinking about the idea of a social butterfly that's an actual butterfly. And 2 different places immediately come to mind. The first is New Gradaria, which, as you mentioned, is sort of like the Dickensian capital of the world. We're talking like 1800s London, on top of eldritch machinery. Or Skeldenheim, and they're like very much like a shrewd businessman. Skeldenheim being the home of the business Vikings, the Vatir. Between the 2 of them, I'm sort of leaning towards New Gradaria, though. What do you think?
Well, considering that Skeldenheim is not part of the beta, spoiler alert, we might want to go with New Gradaria here.
You know what? That's a very fair point.
Skeldenheim is very fun to play characters from. A lot of very close family ties. The entire country is based around family businesses. Heather, you mentioned business Vikings. That's sort of our shorthand within the team. I believe in a playtest, Heather, you played a fail-son business Viking.
Yes, I did. The character's name was Akia Meatball. Which definitely isn't a weird way of spelling IKEA meatball. They have like a Nordic thing going on. But anyways, I did end up conquering the entirety of the island of Ilgrith, just with my keen business sense and my ability to kill the person in charge.
Yes, absolutely. That was a really fun playtest of a module called Incident on Ilgrith, which actually you can find on our Discord page right now, in addition to the character creation materials and a rules companion, which is a quick start guide for the game. So even if you are impatient and you can't wait for the Kickstarter, you can go and check it out right now to see what we've created and see if you might want to back it when we launch the Kickstarter. So looking down at New Gradaria, so I'm just scrolling through right now really fast. You can check this out on the Discord. But what we are looking at here is all of the information you need to create a character, both mechanically and in the story from these different home nations. There's mechanical information on this first page here, has favorite skills, available backgrounds, things like that, as well as a special trait option that you get for choosing to be from New Gradaria. So each of these home nations has a special mental trait option that you get. The idea being that growing up in a place could influence your thinking, but it doesn't necessarily have to. And we mentioned earlier, this is a place of heavy industrialization. There's an entire region that is devoted to industrial extraction and building things in factories that are built atop these sprawling ancient ruins. And when I say ancient ruins, these are H.R. Geiger nightmare sort of constructs that were built by people who do not move like anyone that any of us are familiar with. They have hallways that go off in weird directions. Everything is built out of strands of what's called living metal. So the entire thing is like a giant spider web that people just decided to build their whole society on. And again, mentioned this is heavily industrialized, heavily also stratified. society, a lot of haves and have-nots in New Gridaria that is also the center of industrial power.
Mm.
So, this social butterfly grew up in New Gridaria. I am going to mark that down here on the character sheet. And then also what I'm going to do is I am going to mark down their favored skills. And these are skills that just advance a little bit more quickly than others. The idea being that growing up in a certain place, certain ways of thinking and doing things are sort of in the water, and they help you catch on to things faster. So I'm seeing firearm, one-handed, engineering, diplomacy, etiquette, and performance. So I'm going to go down and just mark these in each of the appropriate boxes on this autofill sheet. One-handed engineering. See, etiquette and performance. And what happens is when you get enough XP to rank up any of these skills, you roll the d6 to rank up the skill twice, and you take it the higher of the two rolls when you are ranking up the skill for a favorite skill. For most skills, you just roll d6 once, add your primary attribute modifier, and you're off to the races. We're going to get to attribute.
The way that I sort of describe this favorite skill system is if you grew up in America, it doesn't mean that you know how to drive a car, but it does mean that you've been around cars your entire life.
Yeah, you've seen commercials of people driving cars. You've seen movies of people driving cars. You've seen people drive cars badly and get into accidents, so you know what not to do or what to do if that's what your vibe is. So that's the idea behind favored skills. Now, there are some other things that we're going to choose later on, like backgrounds and stuff like that. But one last thing I've got to do before we move on from Home Nation is mark down the languages that this character speaks. You can you start with a couple, and then you can learn more as you go through the game. So this social butterfly grew up speaking Valthurian, which is the common language of Valthurians, and Keanosan, which is the common language of Keanosans. And now we are going to move on to our next step, which is one of the biggest steps in character creation. The other choices that we've made before were sort of setting the stage for some of the big ones here. Oop. And that's my phone going off that I should have put on silent. Okay. Just doing it live here. Okay. Just scrolling through to the next step in character creation, which is attributes. So we have 6 attribute arrays here. Basically, 5 attribute arrays. Basically, there are some of these that are very close to the mean of 10. There are some that are very big swings that might have, 17 to 5. Or some of them that are a little bit closer to the middle with a lot of 12s and 9s and 10s. Heather, I'm going to defer to you here. Where do you think you're leaning with what this character should be?
So I just rolled a d5 and I got a 2, which I think is funny because I think 2 is good because it allows us to be hilariously bad at a couple things and very competent at other things.
Okay, I'm liking that. So right now with that array, we are looking at 16, a 14, which are both very good, and then we're looking at like a 6 and a 7.
Mm-hmm.
So, Heather, you mentioned you're looking for a social butterfly here. So,
I'm immediately thinking high charisma, high spirit.
Yeah.
And I'm also immediately thinking low wisdom, low intelligence.
Well, that's interesting because intelligence does contribute to a couple of social skills, which includes etiquette and performance, as well as business. So if we dump those, this person will be a flighty butterfly, but they might have it hold them back in some social situations.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not
true.
I'm not knocking the choice. I'm just making sure we've got all the same information here.
Okay, in that case, let's do high wisdom, or no, not high wisdom. We're going to do middling wisdom at best, but high charisma, high spirit, um, low endurance, low strength.
Okay, we're dumping the combat stats here, the physical
Yeah,
stats. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. If
I'm
this butterfly gets punched once, he dies.
which butterfly? Yeah, that makes sense. Uh, so I am gonna put. I feel like the 16 goes in charisma.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm gonna say 14 in spirit.
Sounds good to me.
Very sure of themselves. And then uh maybe a third. I don't know. I don't know about going as high as 13 on intelligence.
Yeah, no, I might put 13 in speed. I'm
the,
imagining this is somebody who's had to run away from a few situations.
yeah, they might have accidentally started a fight or two that they then had to run away. Yeah, let's put the 13 in speed.
Yeah.
And then looking at intelligence, we're looking at a 6, a 7, a 13, two 11s, and a 12.
I'm thinking 12 dexterity, 11 intelligence, 11 wisdom.
Okay, I'm liking that. And then which do we think is lower between strength and endurance?
Definitely. Well, no. I'm not sure. What's funnier?
Just from a story perspective, they are, just by living in the country of New Grandaria, constantly exposed to pollution. So I don't know if that means a higher or lower endurance.
Let's say slightly higher endurance. This is somebody who has been breathing in the poison all their life, but also they have never had to lift their pinky to do anything.
I'm liking that. I'm liking that. Okay, so we got all 8 in here pretty quick. And this autofill sheet, again, these are available on the Discord server, filled all of these in really fast. And then you can see there's some numbers that have been filled in down here for the skill totals. We can worry about those later, but just know that things are operating as they should.
I'm looking at that 13 athletics and I'm really happy about it.
And a 13 unarmed, a 13 two-handed. It's fantastic. Also, talking about the breadth of the game, they are sub 20 in most of the crafting skills. So this person cannot make something for their lives. So we are through the 4th step of character creation.
Nice.
Yeah. And then we are up to traits. So there are a whole huge number of traits here. Up first is the mental traits. And given that we've created a social butterfly character, I'm leaning towards one of 2 traits here. One is gregarious, that I'm highlighting here, which is the more people are listening to you, the more of a bonus that you get. And then conversely, for every person who's around you and not paying attention to you, you have a penalty. Now, the other mental trait I'm thinking about is one that we get from being from New Grandaria, which is called manners and morals.
I was just looking at that one.
Yeah. Once per day, you can re-roll an etiquette or streetwise check. These are the main sort of general social checks, but you suffer a little bit of mental stress if the re-roll check fails. Manners and morals gives us a little bit of an ability, but gregarious is a real fun mechanic to play into. What are we thinking?
The thing about gregarious is it incentivizes us to be as loud as possible in every possible situation.
Yeah.
Which I really like.
It's so fun to play characters that really lean hard into something like that. I agree. Let's go gregarious. So I'm going to mark down gregarious on the third page of the character sheet here, and then pop back up and just copy and paste over our bonuses and penalties real fast. You can still absolutely do this in by hand. It just takes a little bit longer, and we wanted to make sure that we could create something that could work quickly, and you could we could present for you all on stream here. Next up is physical attributes. Sorry, physical traits, not physical attributes. We already did those. So we've got access to a number of physical attributes due to our Osirtian heritage. Some of them that don't really fit what we're doing here, which is chitinous skin, which is your skin is literally harder to pierce for slashing and piercing weapons, but if somebody tries to smash you with a mace, you're going to take a little bit more damage. We also have pheromone senses, which is, sensing things that are, it's not quite smell, it's you're smelling people's pheromones. And then we've also got, where are the other two Osirtian traits? We've got strong for your size, which gives you a bonus to athletics, but again, I'm not quite feeling that for this character.
Yeah. I am a little bit feeling compound vision, though.
Compound vision is fun, but we also chose that on Orpheus.
Fair enough. What about... Let's see. Let's just go through the non-restrictive ones. We have attractive. We have beautiful voice. Beautiful voice is the one that I initially thought of when I was thinking of this character.
Yeah.
Though attractive is very fun. That gives us +3 charisma, which is really powerful for us.
Yes.
But failing any charisma, diplomacy, or etiquette check will result in this character taking 1 mental stress. I really like how this combines with gregarious. Just the fact that we need to have people watching us or we will have a panic attack, I think is very funny as a combination.
And also, I just realized we are making a glass cannon social character.
Genuinely, yeah.
Yeah, no, let's go. I love a glass cannon, so we're going with attractive.
Attractive.
And if I could spell... Okay, so I'm just noting down the traits that we've chosen on the third page before I go ahead and copy those over. And then I'm going to copy the penalty over onto our abilities, bonuses, and penalties here. And then I am going to put us up to a 19 starting in charisma. This is wild. This character is so charismatic. All right. So we have chosen our 2 traits. And again, these are optional. So you can create a character that has both mental and physical traits, just one or the other, or both. But again, you don't have to take any. These are just ways to really push your character in a direction. And boy, have we pushed this character in a direction. So now we come to the backgrounds. And this is where some of the choices that we made earlier come into play in terms of what's available to our character in the country of New Gradaria. And I feel like there is one background here that really calls to us for this character, but I'm going to go through some of the options that we have just from living in New Gradaria. So there's one called the Ashen Recruit, which is you were raised in a cell of a gray area mercenary company. They're nominally illegal, but they really do get away with a lot of things. There's an asylum inmate, which is somebody who was, because they crossed the wrong noble, because they spoke out against the wrong cleric, because they were born in the wrong family and their family kind of betrayed them, were placed in these asylums that are generally not great for people. They were created shortly after the emergence of Assyrians in the last 50 years as a result of an event called the Awakening, where all of the ancient machinery, the ancient ruins that I mentioned earlier, started spewing out monsters. And then also, these rodent-like people started being born to Valtharians across the continent. That caused a little bit of social upheaval. Hence, the authoritarian crackdown of asylums that were created, and also then used for various other political and sectarian purposes. You could have a character that was born there, or raised there, I should say. Another background option is the barber surgeon's assistant, which is sort of growing up learning a medical trade. There is chosen by the Ministry of Macrons. There are these half machine engineers that control the access to technology in this industrial revolution. They also invent things due to divine inspiration from the machine god Makra. So that's cool. Also, you can become one of those in the game, in the beta as well. There is Cosmopolitan, which is the one that's calling to me. Feudal Highborn, which is you're born in high society, the Valthurian high society, that the nobility that rules New Gradaria. There are the Merc Rats, which are the sort of mutual aid network freedom fighters that are made up of Assyrians who are looking out for the downtrodden of their folk who are not having a good time in the Empire. Obviously, anybody can be an orphan.
So true.
Anybody can be an orphan.
Anybody can be an orphan.
And let's be honest, what RPG group is complete without somebody playing an orphan? And you can be an orphan in this game. Then next up, we've got Raised by a Tradesman, which is the idea that you were raised by somebody who works in a trade, carpentry, blacksmith, those sorts of deals. Raised by factory workers. That seems self-explanatory. Raised by sellswords, so raised by mercenaries. Ranger Novitiate, which is the order of monster hunters that was created to hunt the monsters that came up out of the ancient ruins in the Awakening. Troubadour's Bastard, which is, you were born in a rough and tumble, maybe your mom was going from inn to inn, or your dad was going from inn to inn, and you tumbled out. Villager, which is, there are still people who need to grow the food. And then Young Brigand, which is you were raised on the other side of the law in a violent way rather than the law excluded you sort of way. So there are two actually backgrounds that call to me for this character. The first is Cosmopolitan, which is sort of you were born, moneyed. You were born with a silver spoon in your mouth, not, nobility government position, but your family had money and you were destined to have money and a place in society. Or Troubadour's Bastard, which is you were born down on your luck, rough and tumble, but you got a song in your heart and spring in your step.
Interesting. There were two that were calling to me, and they were not the same two.
Okay.
The two that immediately stuck out to me were Cosmopolitan, as you mentioned, and Feudal Highborn.
So Feudal Highborn we can't get as an Osirtian.
Oh, right. I thought we were Valthurian for some reason. Yeah. I do kind of like the twist of us suddenly being a Troubadour's Bastard. But I also really like how much this guy sucks, and I don't want to give him something redeeming.
Oh, yeah. No, he is. But we haven't even drawn him yet, and he's got a punchable face.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. So are we thinking Cosmopolitan then?
Yeah, I'm thinking Cosmopolitan because Troubadour's Bastard doesn't have any bonuses to etiquette, and I feel like etiquette is so important to this character.
Yeah, etiquette is so important to this character, and is quite important to staying alive in New Gridaria, quite frankly. Also, you can see here some more of the wonderful art that was done by Emily. We've got some art by another artist that we are keeping behind the screen at the moment, and you will be able to find some of that actually if you check out Incident on Ilgriff. A wonderful artist by the name of Ali Briggs did some creature art for us. But back to what we are doing right now. Cosmopolitan. I've already noted the background at the top of our sheet. And then I'm going to go down and talk through what I'm doing here on the mechanical stuff here to talk about what I'm filling in. So some skill ranks. This is where we're actually getting to the skill ranks column. Some skill ranks that we start with high levels in are business, diplomacy, and etiquette. All start at 20. So right off the bat, this character, before any other bonuses, has very, very high social skills.
We love to see it. 50 in etiquette at level 1 is so funny to me.
Yeah, 50 in etiquette with the possibility of being massively, massively boosted in a lot of ways by gregarious and other abilities. And then one-handed, 15, and this character probably hopes they never have to deal with it ever again. And then we've got polearm, thrown, two-handed, and then looking at metalworking. A lot of practical skills here are not going high. Stone cutting, woodworking is a 5. Athletics is a 5. Lockpicking is a 5, and pickpocketing is a 5. And then rank 0, survival, rank 1 actually. And then I'm going to go through and I am going to mark down rank 10 for any of the skills that were not mentioned earlier. And that's just the default rank of skills is 10. Just a little bit of me typing here. And I am also going to explain what this means now, because we now have enough of the character complete to talk about it. So, the way you play Crucible of Aether is through skill checks primarily. Occasionally, you'll do an attribute check if you're trying to prevent something from happening to you, like you've been hit by a weapon and trying to prevent an injury from happening to you. You'll make an endurance check. But most of the time, you are making skill checks. And you can have a rank and a skill ranging from 1 to 100. And then you also add your primary and secondary attribute modifiers to get your skill total. And then you take that skill total and you add a difficulty to it. Difficulties vary from plus 30 to all the way down to minus 60 or more. And then you add those two together. Sorry, you add the difficulty and the skill total together, and you roll a percentile die, a D100, and try and roll under it. If you roll under your skill target, which is the combination of your total and your difficulty, then you succeeded at the check and you gain XP for it. When you gain XP in a skill, you mark it down here. So say you got 4 XP in archery, and you keep track of it there in the XP column. And then when your XP is equal to your rank, you rank up the skill. That's how you grow characters in Crucible of Aether. So very quickly after the start of the game, these skill ranks are going to look very different because of the choices that you make while you're playing the game and playing this social glass cannon of a character. Uh, now that we've gone through and made the skill ranks, I'm going to go ahead and note the base HP. This character has a base HP of 4, a negative endurance modifier, so they have 3 HP on almost all of their hit locations. To give everybody an idea of how fragile this character is, a dagger in this game, you're rolling a D4. Guns in this game are rolling like 3D8. If this character gets hit by so much as a stiff breeze, they are in trouble.
You could punch this guy and they die.
Yeah, yeah. And then they get a choice of any one-handed weapon. I gotta go with something like a non-stereotypical combat weapon here, or something that's very concealable.
I was sort of thinking a fencing sword.
So like a rapier?
Yeah.
Or rapier? Yeah. I just it's there, for the sake of it being there, but gods know they can't use this guy can't use it. So I'm noting it down in the weapon slot on the second page and also the inventory. And then they get a choice of a kit. One kit between painter's kit, sculptor's, calligrapher's, and alchemist's kit. I feel like this person is absolutely crap at any kind of crafting. So I'm leaning towards calligrapher's kit.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah. And then we get ornate clothes, a backpack, and 2 books. I am going to note that down now, and then choose the books later on. And then we've got some currency to roll. Heather, do you want to roll the pend and I'm going to roll the edge?
Sure.
So I rolled a grand total of 20 edge for this character plus the bonus. So this person, this social butterfly, is not starting out rich. Heather, what are we looking at for their pend?
For their pend, I rolled 28.
28. So that's a little bit better. That's I think that's above average there. So that's a little bit better. This person, can afford to put themselves up for a couple of nights at the very least. So now we have filled out the background. This cosmopolitan Osirtian from New Gradaria. And now I am going to go down to the next step here, which is going to be the careers. So we've got the choice of any of the general careers in the game here. So I'm going to go through them real quick. These are all the careers, the general careers in the beta. We've got blacksmith, bounty hunter, bowyer, somebody who makes bows, carpenter, clothier, cook, factory worker, farmer, gangster, merchant, physician, private investigator, prize fighter. Unfortunately, private investigator was printed twice here, and ranger. And then, sorry, sellsword, thief, town guard. There's more. And yeah, that's all the general careers. We don't have access to any special careers as a result of the earlier character creation choices. None of these are fitting 100% for this character, in my mind, except for maybe 2 of them. I'm thinking either thief or merchant.
Okay. The ones that were sort of sticking out to me, were thief and merchant, as you mentioned. Um, some part of me wants to do gangster or physician.
Okay.
Like, hmm.
Gangster is a quite powerful social character at higher levels, but leaning more into streetwise when this character is leaning more into etiquette.
Yeah, that's true. Um, let's see. Merchant doesn't have much in the way of etiquette, it looks like.
But they do have business, and this character does have quite high business as well.
Okay, what about I'm just going through random like lenses to view this character from. What about private investigator?
Okay. Like a sort of talk people into giving information up sort of thing, or what are you thinking?
Yeah. Yeah, like I'm thinking sort of a like murder she wrote kind of character where they're just constantly stumbling into murders and having to figure their way out.
You know what? There is a mastery in this career that this character would 100% work towards, which
Yeah.
is on the second row on the right here. It's a mastery called J'accuse, which, if combat ensues immediately after this character accuses a marked target of a crime by presenting reasonable evidence, the target and their allies become demoralized, which is a debuff, for the remainder of the combat. So if this character stands up in the middle of a room and says "J'accuse," they get to debuff somebody for the entirety of a fight they just started.
That is very funny. Yeah, the other one that I was thinking of was physician, which our character is not that good at medicine at all, but I kind of like them being crap at the thing that they're doing for a job.
That's fair. They got into medical school as a legacy sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Like their dad's a really famous doctor.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, you sold me on this. You sold me on this. I I also feel I'm going to mark down that we've chosen the physician career. And as you can see, there is room for a lot of careers on here. You're also not limited to 8. I don't think I personally have ever unlocked more than 6, but we don't have any mechanical limit on the number of careers you can unlock.
So we do have a very fun question from chat, which is, does the reasonable evidence for J'accuse have to be true?
I've actually run 2 instances where this was the case, and in one of them I allowed a deception check to have J'accuse work. So that's how I ran it. But that is not necessarily something that we've hard coded into the game. But it's very fun to just lean into it in that case. A deception check to persuade someone that basically frame somebody for a crime. I mean, is that persuading us to go another direction on this, or are we sticking with the legacy, legacy Harvard Medical School admit that we're looking at here?
I am sticking with our legacy student. It's okay. Just too funny to me. But this does beg the question, which mastery we want to go for.
I feel like it immediately goes for the Plague Doctor mastery, because it is very selfish as a mastery when this character is not a community focused person. Yeah, I'm leaning towards Plague Doctor, but I'm open to being persuaded elsewhere.
So this guy goes to medical school, and the only thing he learns is how to not get sick.
Which, you know what? More power to him, I guess.
That's That's perfect. I love it. He's useless in every way.
Yeah, but he can walk through a plague ward and survive, which I guess is good for him. So we are going to take Plague Doctor, and I'm just going to note physician if I can spell. So we've chosen the Plague Doctor mastery. I am going to, because this is unfortunately a screen cap, I'm just going to note C Plague Doctor rather than having everybody in chat see me misspell the masteries of Plague Doctor for a minute or two. So we have chosen pretty much everything about this character. We have pretty much completed this character. There are a few things, though, that we still have to do that are filling out some of the details of the choices that we made. Namely, filling out items, filling out item details, and finishing up the last few things of the sheet. I'm going to explain some of the mechanical impacts of the things here. This is just some of the magic in the game that we are skipping over, and if you want to see it, you can go ahead and join our Discord and download the character creation packet. So we have items here. There's some information here about armor. We don't have any. We just have clothes. So we've got weapons. I'm going to say, so we've got one-handed weapon. We are looking at a rapier, which has the thrust and cut hilt attacks. And basically, these are the different attacks that you can make in combat with a weapon. Their AP cost and damage types. So there are different damage types in the game. There is piercing, blunt, slashing physical damage, and then there is also incendiary, corrosive, and freezing damage that can be done through mechanical means or magical means. There is a thing called a there are NAFTA, basically flamethrowers. There are flaming swords in the game. There are corrosive weapons. There are magic spells that can summon up frost. And I say spells, it is actually what we refer to as rituals, because in the game, every magic is actually tied to one of the religions in the game. Because of the way magic works, it is tied to belief, and what is religion but belief that you are, very certain of. So yeah, all of the magic in the game comes from religions, from religious organizations or institutions, and it's really fun to play with. I'm just also simultaneously filling out all of the mechanical information about this weapon while having gone through a long workday, so please bear with me here.
So, on the topic of religion, I know our character doesn't have religion in the sense of a mechanical effect, but I do like the idea that they do believe in, like, the classical Assyrian religion, which is Usurianism. Or Wenyurism, sorry.
Yeah.
And the reason why I think this is very fun is because that puts a really, like, good pitch on why they decided to become a doctor. Like, it's not just that their dad was a doctor, it's that, like, they have this whole, like, technically you have the whole religious obligation to, keep everybody from dying, because everybody who goes to hell when they die, and you don't want to go to hell when you die because you want to make sure that nobody ever dies ever. And so, like, yeah, sure, I'll go to medical school, but what I'm really trying to look out for is just ways to keep me from dying for longer.
Yeah, which is, their own sort of worship. No, I like that. I like that. I'm going to note down that they are they do practice Wenyurism, and I'm gonna say there are a couple of different strands of Wenyurism that are tied to different kinds of magic in the world. I'm going to say that they follow the Nojra Wenyur sect, which is the sort of very straightforward. Let's keep everybody from dying sort of Wenyur. So yeah, just gonna note that here. Absolutely makes sense for this character that we just sort of stumbled into as we were doing character creation here. Our little social glass cannon. Okay, so gonna note down the weights of the weapon and kits. So we got a calligrapher's kit, and this provides a bonus to writing checks to write and falsify documents. So if they wanted to, forge their dad's, they probably got it to like forge their dad's signature on things.
Totally.
Yeah, 100%. All right. And then we are looking at just filling out the sheet here. Backpack weighs 2 kilograms. And the ornate clothes are 1 kilogram. And then the books. We've got... So books in the game almost all have a mechanical effect. The most prominent of which is you can use them to train up your skills in your downtime. Up to a certain level, the idea being that kind of once you reach a certain level of mastery in a skill, you can't get too much more from a book on that subject. I feel like this character would 100% have Valeria the Sandwalker's Mysteries of Anatomy, which is a skill, a book that can train the medical skill.
Mm-hmm.
But I am open to whatever other books you think might be good for this.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense to me.
And given that you can make medicines in the game, and many of the medicines come from various herbs and plants, I'm thinking Harisi Radagi's Flora of Senya as the other one.
That makes total sense to me.
So if this character really wanted to, they could actually get better at their job as a doctor. If they wanted to.
Yeah. This would require them to read, which they haven't willingly done for about 5 years, I'm certain.
Absolutely.
They can read, they just choose not to.
Yes, because that's boring.
Yeah.
Why read when you can have a social life? I'm already thinking like of how I would play this character, and it's so much fun, and I love it. One other thing that we didn't get into here, which is mechanical augments that you can have on your character. You can replace various limbs with grappling claws or weapons. You can even have an extra surgeon's assistant, as an extra limb to help you out. But I don't think this character would go for that.
Oh, definitely not.
Yeah. Okay. So we have done all of the mechanical steps of creating this character. And we've done so in less than an hour while doing it live on stream. I can tell you it goes much faster when just doing it with the book. And one last thing that we've got to do is really quickly just finish doing the mental and physical condition things that I forgot about earlier.
Oh yeah, we also have to give this character a name and pronouns and an age. I have thoughts about their age.
Okay, so their mental condition is actually pretty good. They've got 9 in mental condition. This is just
oh yeah, that's solid.
Yeah. This is just based off of their mental stats and endurance. However, their endurance, not so good. Their endurance, which is a 7, this is the lowest endurance character I have ever made myself. It's gonna be interesting to come up with demos and packs that don't kill this character.
Oh god, right, I forgot people would play this.
Yeah, so we've got the checklist here at the start, and the physical condition is by having the endurance score, rounding down. So this person has a grand total of 5 physical condition. Even with
that's not as bad as I was fearing.
Well, if we had chosen for them to be anything other than Osirtian, they would have 3 physical condition. And commonly, when you suffer damage to your physical condition, it is in like D4s and higher. So this character is very physically fragile. But in any case, going back down to the homeland of New Gridaria, going through the M's here, names here. I mentioned it's Dickensian sort of vibes. So very much British sort of names to think about. What are we thinking for this guy?
So before we figure out the name, I think we should hammer out the pronouns. Right now, I'm thinking he, him.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we have talked ourselves into he and him pronouns here. I think. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just the funniest option.
Yeah. 100%. So he, him, and you mentioned thoughts about the age. What are you thinking?
Yeah, so Got Yowie in the chat posted the phrase, "I graduated and that's the end of learning. Thank you." And my immediate response, like, I didn't put this in the chat, but my immediate thought was, who says this person graduated?
Yeah, exactly. I'm
thinking this is like a 19 or 20-year-old.
Oh yeah. I and let's be clear here. The medical training in this society, not the most extensive, not the most thorough. Like I said, it's like early industrial revolution when they were still, not so clear on the hand washing thing. Yeah.
I've actually changed my mind slightly. I want them to be 21 so they think they're an adult.
Okay. Yeah. See, it's funny. I would have gone a completely different direction with this, which is like 38. They graduated medical school and that was the end of learning, and they have just coasted on their father for the rest of the time. But I'm definitely good with making a younger character here.
Yeah, I just think it's really fun to make just like a total like young idiot.
Yeah. Oh, and also a ton of fun to play at the table.
Yeah.
So what are we thinking for a name here? And we've already said they've got a punchable face. We're not going to be able to draw them in the time we have, but a punchable name.
Yeah. Eustachius? That's punchable.
It's got enough syllables that it's punchable.
Yeah. Oh, great question from chat. Is this a guy who would give himself an epithet and ask other people to use it?
I feel like maybe there is a cultural tradition that has their own epithets, but I'm feeling like this guy is like a 3rd or 4th or 7th sort of deal.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, I guess the other question is, like, how long has his family been in New Gridaria? Like, is this a family, like, this is a one-year family, so, like, are they recent immigrants from, God, what's the name of the country?
Kafentia, Misharuk, and oh god.
It's the 3rd one that's the one that I keep forgetting the name.
Aminari. There we go. Aminari. Yeah. Yes. That is the one that is ruled by the undead Nojra Wenyers is Aminari. Um,
Mm.
I mean, if he went to, like, we're saying medical school, if his father or mother went to that same institution, that says to me that it's at least second generation.
That's true. Also, we have a really strong contender in chat, which is Archibald Higgins.
Oh, oh, yes, I love it. I love it. Unless I get a veto, I'm going Archibald Higgins here.
Yeah. Okay, now question. Archibald Higgins Jr. or Archibald Higgins the second?
I feel like the second is just that much more pretentious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm like an Archibald Higgins the second.
Yeah. Yeah, just put those Keonosis numerals afterwards.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh god, they would call them Keonosis numerals. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And then, like, what are we thinking for build here? They've he's got to be a I'm thinking what jumps to mind immediately for me is the actor who played Jonah Ryan in Veep.
Okay. I haven't seen Veep. So give me a build description.
Like annoying bamboo. Like I don't know. Like
annoying bamboo is absolutely perfect. Man, this guy has a punchable as fuck face. Yeah, I'm definitely thinking skinny. The only question is really tall or really short.
I mean, the butterfly vibes make me think taller.
That's true, yeah.
Because, like, he wouldn't have wings, but just, like, the physical presence would be a little bit more if he were taller.
Yeah. I'm definitely thinking he, like, has some kind of fancy coat that looks like it could be butterfly wings.
Oh, yeah. And you better bet that it's, like, his tailored medical coat is, like, it's not supposed to be tailored. It was just supposed to be issued to him, but he got it tailored sort of thing.
Mm. God, we're having some great conversations in chat right now. Archibald Higgins the second, 100%. The implication that he expects there to be an Archibald Higgins the third is spot on. There will be more people by this name given my eventual fame.
And, you know, success in social life.
Yeah. I am thinking 6'1", 160 pounds.
Okay.
Like not like comically skinny, just very skinny.
Yeah, not he doesn't look like he can't take a punch, but he cannot take a punch.
Absolutely. You understand my vision.
Yeah. And in a way that, like, somebody would punch him and he would absolutely be down for the count and they would be like, I have no idea how I did this.
Yeah. You punch this man in the face and you have genuinely a 25% chance that he just dies.
Yeah. It is genuinely dangerous for this man to be involved in physical violence. So as an Osirtian, he doesn't have hair. He would have some sort of insect-like features. We mentioned butterfly features. So the sort of templates that we've offered for players for Osirtians are, mantis-like the Ustrians, sort of moth-like Enkians that have these really elaborate eyebrows, and the sort of ant-like Armeti that have, antennae. What are we thinking for how to describe sort of their insect-like features here?
I am going to send you a picture of her Discord.
Okay. Okay, so what I've got here is I
So what I'm thinking is, what I have sent is a picture of a butterfly from close up, and there's a couple very fun aspects to it. The number one most important one is bright pink antenna.
yeah, yeah, no, I like this. I like this. I'm gonna say bright pink antenna.
Yeah. Also, Silicon Reptilian, you and I are on the same page with the proboscis. I don't think we can get that, but God, it's funny to imagine.
Yeah, no, you know what? If we are able to build more of the game, that's the kind of thing that would be fantastic to add as another trait or something like that, just to get real wild with it. And one of the extra features that Osirtians have is they've got these double pupiled eyes, so it's a very prominent physical feature. What eye color do we think this guy has?
Hmm. I want to say pink again.
Yeah,
Or no, green. Just to
yeah,
go with the butterfly picture that I sent you.
yeah. Butterfly person that just sort of like ran through the festival of colors.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have completed the creation of Archibald Higgins II. And I am going to now pop over to the final thing here. And so, going through what we have selected. So we selected an Osirtium, which is the same as the last time around, but we've chosen a different home nation. We chose the home nation of New Gridaria. We chose the second attribute array. We chose a very different, because the character that we made last time, Orpheus Lutzos, we referred to him as a himbug. This is a very, very different character. He was Orpheus was, pure-hearted and devoted and all of these things that this guy very much is not. So we chose the gregarious and attractive traits. And then we chose as a background cosmopolitan. And I love that there is the barber surgeon background, which is the idea that, you grew up learning the medical profession. But this guy did not.
Yeah, of course not.
Yeah, he became a physician because, he could because of his father, not because of, his long training and devotion to the craft. 100% a nepotism situation here. So we have created Archibald Higgins II, and it is going to be quite a time for people to play this character at our booth at PAX.
God, yeah, I'm so excited for this.
So if you liked what you saw, if you want to learn a little bit more about the game, go ahead and join our Discord. Check out what we have shared there. You've got the character creation packet, the quick start guide. You've got a starter adventure. You've got starter characters that we made as pre-made characters that you could take a look at if you don't want to make one of your own. And then also make sure to check out our Kickstarter and follow it. We are going to be sharing a whole lot more information both on there, on our socials. Everywhere that you can find us is going to be Aether_Crucible. On Twitter, Instagram, and Threads, and then it's Crucible of Aether on Blue Sky. Heather, thank you so much for joining me on this journey as we created our wonderful, wonderful nepotism hire doctor, Archibald Higgins II. And yeah, look forward to playing the game.
Yeah, I am so excited about this character, Archibald Higgins the second PhD. And yeah, I just wanted to call out again the fact that the Discord link and the Kickstarter link are both in the description of this live stream. Please go check them out. This game fucking rocks, as evidenced by the fact that we just had so much fun doing character creation, which is often the most boring part of tabletop games, but here it is one of the most exciting.
Yes, yes. And also, I do want to shout out some of the wonderful podcasts that we have worked with over the course of publicly play testing the game, including Character Creation Stream. If you are a little bit trepidatious about jumping into character creation, go ahead and check that out. We've also been on A Pint of Cthulhu and One Shots Tavern. We've also got some more surprises in store for folks to check out and check out the game. Thank you so much all for joining us.
Yeah, y'all have a good night.